Lots of different things. When I went to the Gambia, that was my first CBM trip. A lot of what I did was watch, if I'm honest. I had the opportunity to do some children's activities, to lead a sisters class. We did some sessions on first aid or healthcare, which again is not something I know a lot about, but it was really interesting to watch. Things like basic hygiene, supporting parenting almost in some of those areas where they don't have the access to health visitors, midwives that we would have, and sharing some of that information about hygiene with them. In the Caribbean, there was a lot of youth work and ecclesial support. So there were ecclesias already established there that we visited and supported. And did extra activities for, and also quite a lot of pastoral work, so visiting the people that can't get to the ecclesia. And similarly in Russia, there's obviously a bigger language barrier, so more of the work had to be done through translators, but children's activities, sisters classes, talking to people about marriage or parenting or things that we take for granted over here, that we all have lots of people to talk to, lots of older sisters to talk to and get advice from.
Well, there's different things that we do. On the visits where we go to see the brothers and sisters, we have a public talk in Prague and meet with the brothers and sisters there. And then we carry on and do a sort of road trip tour with the translator and visit the sisters who live in isolation. Well, we go to their apartments or their flats, and we break bread with them. We have a little service with them, and then we just have a chat. And almost all of them are infirm or very poor, so they aren't able to travel to see us, so we've got to go and see them. One of the reasons I think it's important for sisters to go along on CBM visits is, especially in the Czech Republic, more than half of the believers are sisters, and they can empathize more with a sister coming to see them. They've got similar problems. They can relate a little better perhaps than they might to a brother, and in some contexts it's more socially acceptable to have a sister going into another sister's flat as well as a brother, instead of having just men coming to see them. I think we have similarities and we can relate to each other better. So that's been my experience.
Then when we were there, the weekend Bible school included people from other countries as well. And one of the biggest things that I noticed was that the language difficulties of us understanding and communicating to each other is so critical. And so we had a translator. And this is so different from the UK, that we're dealing with people who've travelled a long way to visit for the weekend, perhaps up to 11-hour journey in a car to get there. They have very little free time to attend things, and often don't know when they're going to have free time from their jobs. And they came along to this weekend, and we were able to share Bible study together. And we're so blessed in the UK that we have so many ecclesias, and we can just drive a few miles down the road and we're able to meet different people and hear different speakers. So it was a big education to us how different things can be with the language and with the isolation that they experience. And certainly for me, from thinking about it since I've come back to the UK, it makes you really realise what a big family we are, but how different it is for different individuals around the world, and that they have so many challenges that we don't have on a day-to-day basis. I think also it was really interesting being there as a sister, in that it's great for us to be able to talk to other women who are coming along to the talks, and to understand perhaps their perspective on life. From a cultural perspective, they have different challenges and often don't have the freedoms that we have over here. But it's good that we can give care and support to them.
I support the Easter Bible School at Kumasi in Ghana by teaching the children at Sunday school. We have a lovely time together. I normally have a theme each year a different theme, and we talked about Daniel and his 3 friends, and we do some drama, we do singing, colouring, crafts, and we have a great time, all of us together. I'm also there as a main contact for the sisters if they want to come and chat with me, if they have problems or difficulties or questions, and I get to know them, and that's really special too.
To begin with, we were travelling around visiting brothers and sisters. They'd usually got some friends that they'd invited around, or family who were interested in the Bible, and they'd got lots of questions that they wanted answered. We had a few baptisms. Most memorable was a lady who was terminally ill with cancer. She didn't have any running water in her home. We had to fill up a barrel using buckets going out to a standpipe in the street, and she squished herself down into this barrel. So that was quite a memorable occasion, her determination in doing this. More recently, I've been involved with Sunday school work at Bible schools. We get up to 20 children coming along each year.
Now I'm quite busy during the day, all through the year, doing different things connected with brothers and sisters over there. So I get emails sometimes, I run them through Google Translate and try to answer their questions. I'm tutoring some people online in those countries that we go to, and also trying to get the brothers and sisters in England more involved in different ways, and that keeps me pretty busy.
So in Africa and in the Ukraine we taught a lot of Sunday school lessons, so often we'd go to different villages and just children, even from the local schools, would just come and join us. In Denmark we tended to do a lot of the social side, preparing the meals and helping just to organise the trip and some of the activities, especially when there were some younger people involved. So Sunday school out there is very different to the UK, so we might start off with 10 children who maybe had parents in that ecclesia. One time we ended up with sort of 50 children, 60 children of the local village just come and sit and join. It's harder because you have to have a translator, so you have to obviously allow the time for things to be translated for the children, and also you don't have many resources, so we try to take as many photocopies of just pictures for them to colour, but even some of them have never even coloured and done stuff like that before, so it's really, really different.
Well, in the first place, because sisters hadn't been for so long to Nigeria, it was really quite novel for them to see me. So it was really nice to be supportive to the other sisters. So I have a lot of chats just one-to-one with the sisters, but mostly I try and do sisters classes with them. And it's quite interesting, the brethren will come up to me and say, right, Sister Lynn, we want you to speak on this and this and this and discuss this and this and this with the sisters. And I say, yes, of course. And we go in, start chatting to the sisters, and they're like, well, can you tell us about this and this, which is not at all, it's still scriptural things, but not, it's more practical things, like how to bring up your children and what do we do as sisters in this country, and just basic things about family more, and how to live your life in the truth with a family, rather than the brethren are more I don't know, want more exposition, I suppose. They want us to give them exposition, but we don't do that. So I do sisters classes, and I also do a lot of Sunday school work, which is really good fun. The last trip I went on, I took glitter with me because I thought that would be interesting to have glitter, and the whole place was absolutely covered in glitter, and I came out and said to Darren, oh no, I think I've put glitter everywhere, and he said, have you looked in a mirror? I was absolutely plastered, and we made crowns for King David covered in glitter, and then all the brethren got given them by their children and they put them on, and there was glitter galore everywhere, which was nice. Yeah, so a lot of sisters work, and a lot of mostly the kids doing Sunday school with them. But it's also as well about seeing us. Usually with CBM trips, quite often it is 2 brethren who go, or a group of brethren, so I think it's really important for them to see David and I as a team, going out as a brother and sister married couple together, and how you can work together. And a few times when we've had talks about relationships as couples and trying to encourage relationships within the ecclesias rather than from outside.
When we go out visiting, the rest of the time that we're there, I'm trying to build relationships with people, I suppose, and support the brethren that are doing, you know, the obvious bit of the work, but I think they appreciate having a female there. I think sisters pick up body language much better than brethren do. They quite often appreciate that there are problems there that the brethren maybe haven't spotted. Maybe sisters talk to sisters better. I think in terms of a brother visiting a sister on her own, it's much better if there's a sister going along with them as well. You know, if we sent somebody in this country to visit an interested contact on their own, we wouldn't send a brother on his own. We'd always send him with another sister, just for everybody's benefit, really.
In Sierra Leone, a lot of our work was kind of visiting those ecclesias in isolation, working with those brothers and sisters that can't get anywhere, building them up both together and then as an ecclesia, making sure they were kind of a unit, and just helping them with their understanding of scripture. They have quite a lot of questions and can be quite dependent on the UK to kind of help with their ideas of how to interpret the Bible. So we were trying to give them the skills to be independent, so they didn't need us as much to come over as, you know, as frequently. And then in Tanzania, a lot of the young people live far away from other people, so we felt a very strong need to kind of get them all together so they could see who else believed what they believed, really, because they all find it very hard and find it very hard scripturally to kind of come together when they don't have that support with one another. So building them up and helping them to realise that there were other people who believed exactly what they believed was quite a useful thing for them, I think. And the very first time we went, they were all quite shy and didn't. It took them a while to warm up. So our job was quite, you know, involved in kind of. My job specifically was to kind of help them to kind of build those friendships, and I talked to a few of the young sisters there and spoke to them about why they've got baptised and things, and helped the younger girls really in that respect. And then the second year we went out, it was more about kind of what we can use with those friendships to build up their knowledge with the Bible and how to keep that strong in their faith in God, really. So yeah, very, very different trips, but I've loved every single one of them.
You name it, I do it. Somebody recently said, because I didn't go out on their visit, and they said we could have done with a dog's body, a sister. So yeah, we drive ourselves out there, so I take my share in the driving, and so if they need something from the shop, I'm off to do that or whatever. But the work actually starts before a visit, because historically I've been involved with conferences out there, and after my first husband died there was nobody to fill the gap, so I would plan itinerary, book hotels, I still do, and all that sort of, all that's required before a trip, I still do it. Obviously I consult with my husband because he wants to know what he's in for, but yeah, do all that. And then when I'm out there, now we've got a lot of brethren. Obviously Steve deals with the brethren and sisters. I can deal with sisters, but it's not right to talk to brethren and, you know, give talks to them. I deal with contacts, right, which is great.
Okay.
Really love it.
I've had a variety of things to do. One is supporting a mark. If we're talking to contacts, even if it's in a different language, obviously, I can maybe find some references if it's a small group. Because of my nursing background, I've done some health education talks and Sunday school work and sisters' classes, and just being there as part of a husband and wife, a couple in the Lord.
I tend to focus on sisters' workshops. Sisters come from all over the country, about 15 or 20 of them, and we get together and we talk about practical issues. I focus on things that will help them in their everyday lives.
I've gradually got to know the brothers and sisters, and not just that, but the children. My first trip to Kazakhstan, the main sister who was organising the children's lessons died soon after, and basically it was my job then from then on. So I just thought back to what I did when I was at Sunday school when I was a child, and just adjusted a bit for the children that were there. They hadn't seen a lot of the things that we'd done, so anything I prepare, they just think it's fantastic. Never seen any of the embellishments and things that we use for doing crafts, things like cellophane and sandpaper and different things like that. They'd never seen it before, so anything I organise, they just think it's wonderful.
And the things that I really enjoy doing is working alongside Les and the other brother and sisters. We work as a team together. And also, the brothers and sisters there set us an example in the things that they do, their commitment, their enthusiasm, and their love and their care for us while we're over there. That is really nice. And also hearing the children sing the songs that they've learned around the Bible school.
So I think what I enjoy most is actually the Russian Bible School. So we're also involved in the Russian Bible Schools, which is pretty much like a Bible school that you'd have over here. Same kind of number of different classes, adult classes, what we call the beginners classes, which is what we invite contacts to, first principle classes, and of course loads of children. So as usual, the sisters are involved in helping out with the children, and that's good fun. So although somebody has to teach in Russian, we get a Russian to come in and do that. We do all the preparation of the crafts and the lessons in advance, so we go out with a huge amount of materials to keep the children entertained for what might be 15-20 sessions during the week, so you've got a lot of hours to fill, and I like that, building a relationship with the children. They're learning a bit of English, you're learning a bit of Russian, somehow you make yourself understood. That's good fun.
I suppose initially I enjoy the travelling, but I suppose as time's gone on, the thing that I've enjoyed most is the fact that some of the brothers and sisters who we met on the first few trips are still around now, and we're still seeing them after 20 years, and we've built up a really good friendship over that time. One other thing that I particularly enjoyed was that just a couple of years ago, one of the boys who used to come to Sunday school at the Bible school, I hadn't seen him for a while, but then he turned up again and said he wanted to be baptised. So that was really encouraging and enjoyable, because it made it seem more worthwhile.
So many things. I love the fellowship. I love meeting old friends. Sister Catherine, who I've known for many years, and Renita, her daughter, who I've known for nearly as many, and all the brothers that we've known, really since we've started coming nearly 30 years ago, renewing old friendships and making new ones. And it's just so lovely to have fellowship with them, get to know them as we get older together. Just lovely country, lovely weather. It's just a wonderful country.
I love seeing David on that side of, he's like he's like a different person when we go CBM trip. He gets into it and I see a different side to him, and it's really lovely to experience that with him. But I just love being with the brethren and sisters. They're far more poor than we are over here in Nigeria. Although Nigeria is not a really poor country, they're obviously a lot poorer than we are over here. And to see their love of the truth, and to be with them and enjoy and spend time with them, and you're free from any worries or whatever over there. I just think it's really like releasing yourself to be in amongst them all and enjoy your time together, see a different side of life, and to see why they love the truth the way they do.
So I really enjoyed getting to know the people I was travelling with, so the brethren and sisters from the UK. In Africa we had translators, so we travelled with them pretty much everywhere we went for the 2 weeks, which was lovely, and we got to know them really well. And also the brethren and sisters that you get to meet. Sometimes if you just go into an ecclesia you may never see them again, but sometimes if you stayed in the same place you might get to know them over sort of 2-3 days, which is always lovely.
I would say that it's changed the way that I live the rest of my life. So in terms of marriage, and in terms of parenting, and in terms of ecclesial life, I think even if you don't get the chance to go again once you've had children, had a family, the benefits of doing that work will stay with you, for the rest of your journey to the kingdom.
It's been lovely. It's been a real privilege.
I'm so glad I've been involved in this work. It has been amazing. It has actually moulded my life, and I wouldn't have been without it for the world.
I think it's really made me sort of stop and think about my faith, particularly out in Africa. In Denmark, a lot of those were refugees from Africa. So just seeing that the things that they've experienced, sort of talking to them about that. We do have a very easy life in the UK compared to some of the things that they've faced. In Africa, they genuinely don't know where their next meal is going to come from. But also just the way that ecclesias are set up, the way that they study, the way that they just interact has really made me stop and think and sort of take that into my own life.
It's probably more beneficial to me than it is to them. I don't know if you can measure that, but definitely we learn a lot. The most important thing, I think, is being grateful for the ecclesia that we're in. You can see the kind of hardships that the brothers and sisters have in the Czech Republic, not being able to meet together. And it's something that we probably take for granted in the UK. We have so many ecclesias to choose from. And yet it's such a blessing.
I think it's the feeling of being part of a worldwide family in the Lord, of seeing how brothers and sisters cope in and have to put up with circumstances which are so different from our own in the UK, and hopefully trying to spread the good news of the gospel throughout the areas that we go to.
I think a major thing is that you realise what we have at home, and to see the differences, but to make me realise that actually what we have isn't all it's cracked up to be, and to actually live our lives in a basic way and try and remember to base our lives on the Word, and not to live our lives as Jesus wanted us to, and not get bowed under by cares of this life and worries of this life, and to actually live the life and to live the truth as they do. It's lovely.
I think I've really come to appreciate that you look from a distance, you can look and see other people doing stuff and you think, oh, I couldn't do that. They must have got amazing talents, they can do that. They're a teacher, they're good at talking to people, they're good at relating to people, they've got these talents that make them capable of doing that. And I just think that when you actually get involved and do it, you can pick stuff up from other people, but you learn that you can do it as well. Just because you're not I'm not a teacher, I've had no training, but you pick stuff up as you go along, and everybody can contribute something, and there'll be somebody else who's able to contribute something else, and between you as a team you produce something that is of benefit to the brethren and sisters out there, and they really appreciate it. And you think, well, I could never have done that, but you come back feeling that you've, with God's help and His blessing, that you've been able to do something that's been of use.
I think when I first went out to Sierra Leone, more than anything, I realised that before me helping them, they were helping me, and I was only giving a tiny bit, whereas they've just given me so much. I've just loved every single minute of doing the work that I've been fortunate enough to do. They have such strong faiths. It might kind of be more of a simple faith to the study that we often have over here in the UK, but it's so strong, and you often find that that's because they lack as many material possessions as we have, for instance, and it just makes you realise just how much we just don't need the stuff that we have in day-to-day life, and it really keeps your mind clear, and at that moment in time it helps it to purify it in a way, and I always try and bring that home with me as much as I can to kind of keep me focused on the right things instead of the things that can so easily come around us in here. I've loved feeling a bit more confident in myself in regards to being a guide. I mean, I know I'm still young and only 20, but I got baptised at 15 and I was involved in ecclesial life, but I didn't do many Sunday schools, for instance, because I felt like I was too young to lead younger children than myself. But since, knowing that I have that responsibility for being, say, the only sister with that CBM group at the time, I do have that responsibility to lead as many younger girls as I possibly can, and so that's really helped me to kind of embrace study a bit more and make sure that I'm fully prepared for those kind of situations. So I would say that the CBM work has helped me to kind of focus on study and what questions I might be faced when speaking to younger girls, or how to be a better role model for them, really. So it's definitely changed me as a character. I feel like I can't not go again. It's definitely, you kind of get the travel bug, I think, and CBM work kind of just, it takes hold of you, really. So yeah, loved every single minute of it, and hopefully I'll see more changes in the future to come.